Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Price Check Podcast here on the In the Zone Network, where we go city to city, state to state, worldwide. Keeping it in the family today. The manager specialist back, my man James Williams, Keith Gardner here to talk Lakers off season.
Yes, sir.
We
Yep,
do a
yep.
little talking about the end to the season also, but KG, I got to start with you though, man. You are I guess, the only one of us that's kind of the quote unquote LeBron fan. What's up with your man talking about retiring, man?
Man, I think it was a little bit of thing. I think I think there was some truth to it a little bit. I think not saying he's going to retire, but I think for the first time he's probably realized like I wasn't the best player on the court. Like I think it was just like one of them things like for that particular series. Yeah, you could say injuries and all that. You on the court, you got to play. So it is what it is. So I think a little bit of that kind of set in. Like man, like I did all I can because even that last game, he had 30 points in the first half. And like, we needed every single bit of that point to even be in the game at that point in time. And so I think, in the past, like he could do it on both ends. And I think just with his age, he can't do it as much on both ends. Like he has to exert himself a lot on the offensive end. Defensively, he can't do too much. But I don't think he's retiring. I think it just probably just went through his mind at that time. I think that was one thing. I think another reason was just because, like, we got swept. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's put up a storyline. Like, hey, look, LeBron gonna retire. So you know what? I'm gonna go and throw this in there so they won't talk about how we just got swept. So that's probably most of it too. But I don't think he's going nowhere. Not for probably another couple years. I mean, he scored 40. I think he still got in the tank. I think he's still a top 10, 15 player in the league. So I believe he's still there. It's not like he's like no just like a Vince Carter or nothing like that, where it's just kind of he's just a role player, just kind of just playing, just to kind of just because he loves the game. I think LeBron is still he's still productive, but I think it was just more just trying to get some of the spotlight off the Lakers as far as the how the series ended, how the season ended, and just normal, just like man, like I am getting older, so that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, man. Brian gonna be 39, bro. Like,
Yeah, he up
I
there.
mean, I think it's probably that time for that retirement talk to start kicking in. James, we seen this movie before
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
Kobe,
yeah.
last couple years, he got that extension and then kind of rolled off into the sunset. So hearing LeBron at that press conference, um, I could tell that the old senses was starting to kick in. Like that foot probably was hurting. He started like, look, we even got swept. I got to the conference finals and we couldn't even get a game.
Hmm.
Like I got the last shot of the game, couldn't even get it off. Like I imagine
Yeah,
some of
yeah,
them
for
started
sure.
to,
I
yeah,
think it was we got swept, and that's what it was. Let's not talk about that because I'm supposed to be the GOAT, and the GOATs don't get swept. So let me talk about I'm retiring. That's what it was. Like my man, come on, you're not retiring. You got what, 2 years left on the deal, or 1 year?
I think
Yeah.
it's
one
So bro,
one
you
player
yeah
option for
for
yeah,
the
you
plan.
got
that's what
that, and
something
then
like
you
that.
keep. The only thing you've been talking about is playing with Bronny. Like, bro, we know you're not about to retire. Like, cut it out, bro. Yeah, I know you feeling bad. That body start to wear down. But props though, because I mean, it's a lot of cats who wouldn't have played. Because he
Yeah,
was like seriously like injured, and he still went out there. And he did his thing. But yeah, that's the reason why he pulled that out. Like KG said, the real reason is, yeah, man, we just got swept. So let me go ahead and try to throw
yeah,
something out there. So tomorrow, ESPN and Fox Sports, they be talking about, man, you think Bron gonna retire? Like,
Yeah,
nah, they don't want to talk about you us getting swept. So
yeah,
exactly what
yeah,
happened too.
that's all it was, man. But yeah, he getting older and really, and also probably to put pressure on the front office. Like, yo, I ain't got too much longer in me, so like we gonna have to make some moves. Like, I don't know what that is. It's clear we don't have enough to beat Denver, as it stands. So I don't know if that's bringing in another big name free agent or bringing in some better pieces. But I think that had a part to do with it as well. And just putting pressure on Rob and them, like, hey. Brian probably got another good year when he can average like 27, 28. So we can't waste that. And also AD, like, but man, you was beasting in the playoffs, but like we need this like all season. Like you got to come in
yeah,
shape. This supposed to like Brian really is supposed to be a role player at this stage. He shouldn't have to go out there and put up 40. Averaging 27. He should be putting up like 25, 7 and 7. Scoring when he need to. the game need to go through AD. Like he ain't showing that, so I mean, y'all know how I feel about him. Like we could have got rid of AD a while ago, but
Yeah,
didn't nobody
yeah.
want to
AD
listen to
was
me.
traded last offseason as well.
Yeah,
He was
man, he would.
good.
I mean, after the championship, we could have got rid of him because he didn't do nothing that following season.
No,
So
came in out of shape.
Yeah,
yeah,
fact,
so
fact. So we kind of talked on it a little bit, but I guess the biggest lesson learned from us, or at least for me to start on the Nugget series, to KG point, we just didn't have the best player on the court at all. And it was a lot of moments in them 4 games where it felt like we didn't have the two best players on the court because Jamal Murray was lighting us on fire
right.
every chance he got. So I think, though, if we kind of looking ahead a little bit, if I had a preference, um, and again, just the takeaway that I come away from that series with is trying to load up and get another start is not going to be Denver. We got to have like pieces like 1 through 8, 1 through 9 to be able to last for an entire series against a team like that. We saw the same thing with Phoenix. They got 2 games off of Denver, but that was because Kevin Durant and Devin Booker left Earth for 2 games in
It went
Phoenix.
crazy.
It
Right.
went crazy. So having to stack, superstars with just a bunch of minimum guys ain't gonna get it done. James, I guess I can start with you. If you, kind of look at that series as, kind of a lesson going into next year, what would your biggest takeaway be?
I mean, you just kind of said we won't have enough. We gotta
Yeah,
what we got not working, like you said. I mean, to be honest, look at Denver. Like, I mean, dude, is Jokic? I mean, I guess you could say he's a superstar, but outside of him, like Murray is a star. He's not a superstar. Michael
right,
Porter is. I mean, he getting paid, but he's a role player. They got a bunch of role players who just good. They was just big. More athletic. Younger than us. They just took it to us. We got some favorable matchups in those first 2 rounds, but with them, we really couldn't do nothing with them. Even though we had the lead, we had conversations throughout the playoffs. They throughout the games, like they was never really that comfortable for us. We was up by double
right.
digits, and it always felt like they was gonna come back. So I definitely think we need to more athleticism, a real point guard, for sure. Get the ball out of Brian's hand, and more scoring, more shooting. That's what that's how Brian teams when they successful. That's how they set up. Having shooting around him. We had supposed shooters, but they didn't show up. Like I don't know what Malik Beasley was doing. We
Can they
had a
shut up?
couple cats who right. Was it Brown? Troy Brown supposed to be 3 and D. I didn't see no threes, and I didn't see no defense from him. So like I don't know what was going on with the roster, but I mean we got some pieces. I mean Austin is cool. I like the spark that he gives us. But is he a top tier shooting guard in the league? I don't believe so. I know he's going to get paid this offseason, and I like to have him on the team because to be honest, we probably couldn't afford nobody else. But I just think we need to get more athleticism and just get some shooters.
KG?
I agree with everything that James said. I just think looking back on the series, and the funny thing about it is that even though we had the lead, I never was really just confident because even through the whole season, like we did lose a lot of leads. Going even before the trade deadline, after the trade deadline. And it's crazy because we were, even though yeah we did get swept, like we was in every last one of the games. Even game one, we came back. We just didn't have enough to like close the deal. Like we didn't have
Yeah,
like for even with Denver, like Jamal Murray for those last 4 games, he was the one that to get a bucket. Like he was
Hmm.
able to get a bucket. Like I said, whether it was the injury or what, LeBron couldn't get a bucket at the end, at the end of the game to close it out. And, AD, like you said, AD should have had the keys to the kingdom already. And, clearly he's not able to do that. So, I'm just looking at it from that end is that, I mean, AD's a number two. I mean, that's what he is. He's just
Yeah.
going to be number two. He's not a number one player. Because when we tried to give him the keys, he just didn't want to take them. So, I believe, yeah, point guard, we definitely got to address, whether we can afford a Van Vliet, I know how, James feel about Kyrie, but, Kyrie, what I'm saying?
I knew he
Yeah,
was gonna come up.
uh,
of
yeah, we
course.
need point guard position because even with D'Angelo Russell, like, I think we were maybe like I think we were like 8-1 or 7-1 when he scored like 17 or 19 points in the
It was like
playoffs.
Yeah,
16 or more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
and yeah, of course, in none of the Denver series, he didn't do
No,
anything.
he was on the milk
Um,
carton for Denver.
yeah, he couldn't score and he couldn't defend, so he was
Nope.
really unplayable on the court. Dennis Schroeder would like to keep him. I would like to keep Dennis as a backup. He definitely is a good defender. I think he carved his niche as far as like a backup point guard role to come in and guard a lot of the best players, the quicker point guards in the league. Austin, yeah, he's going to get paid like you said. 80 to $100 million is a lot of money to pay Austin Reeves. I'm sorry, it's just a lot. Like if they're talking about at least 80 million, that's a lot of money. Um,
So like on a
and
5 year deal or something?
I think it's a four.
Absolutely not.
I think it's a 4 year deal.
Absolutely
I
not, bro. And we still
man,
got to pay Rory.
you do. And if I was to honestly, if I was to and I think and it's funny because we say we need a better point guard, but LeBron has the ball in his hand, Austin has the ball in his hands, and we need a better point guard. So if we're going to get a better point guard or a better ball handler, I don't know if we're going to keep Austin because of that reason. Because clearly, if if we believed in Austin, would have been like, okay, cool, he's our secondary ball handler. But
Facts.
if we're still looking for a point guard, a better point guard, then clearly we're not 100% invested in Austin, giving Austin $80 million. Like, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. And I know we probably talk about the draft too, but I think that's why they drafted Jalen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah,
what
I
I was
think
gonna
that's why
say.
they
Yeah,
got. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, really, he's a on ball. He's a point
Yeah.
guard. Big
Yeah.
dude. He was balling in Indiana.
He
So
was.
hopefully we can get some out of him.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that might be the emergency, or the backup, in case Austin goes somewhere. Because like you said, I just can't see Austin making 80 million. Like I mean,
Yeah.
somebody gonna pay him, but like I wouldn't personally give Austin Reeves $80 million.
Yeah. Like, I would, like I said, I would definitely try to keep Rui because he's
Yeah,
not going to be as expensive. I like Rui. And LeBron at this point, like, even though he can handle the ball, like, I would rather just LeBron to be a traditional three, like a three.
yep,
Like, score the ball, get down the post, get buckets. At the end of the game, if you need to go get a bucket or, manipulate some of the pick and roll, stuff like that, yeah, get the ball, LeBron. But I
right.
think at this stage, he needs playmakers around him because now he's transitioned from being the playmaker to basically being the system to he's the scorer. Like, and that's what he should do: score the basketball because he can score the basketball, and he could play defense when he needed to play defense. So that's how I look at it.
yeah. I think especially if you look at it by the end of the playoffs, Brian really was like kind of your go-to for points and rebounds more so than points and assists this time around,
Yep,
and that's
yep.
probably how it should be moving forward. Like
Mm-hmm.
Brian, help us on the boards, get them, fast breaks, start to get us out in transition, but we don't need to be putting the ball and having you dictate literally every single possession of the game. That's asking a
Mhm.
lot of somebody going into year 21. Like that's
Yep.
Right.
never been asked of anybody before that's made it to year 21. Even by the time Kareem got to that stage of his career, he was just, we are happy to get whatever we can get out of him. Whereas,
Mhm.
LeBron, you still are really asking him to be the best player given what we just had. Said so. Uh, Real quick on Jalen though, Jalen Hood Shafino, Lakers drafted him number 17 overall. I hadn't watched him play a whole lot before, like doing some like kind of minor draft research on him. I like what I see. Uh, to James' point, big point guard, seems like he can kind of handle himself, not only finishing around the rim, but mid range. I want to see how the 3-pointer translates for him at the next level. But seems like the type of guard that Brian and AD could kind of thrive off of in terms of him being able to play make for them, but then also being able to score the ball if they find him in the right position.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, free agency trades. I gotta say, we talked about point guard. Chris Paul was one that everybody kind of linked to one of the two LA teams before he ended up getting traded to Golden State. It's obviously not Lakers related, but I kind of do need y'all thoughts. What are y'all thinking as far as Chris Paul to the Warriors and how that fit is going? KG, I'll start with you this time.
Um, So I think they did it for a couple of different reasons. I think the first thing they try to just get whatever they can for Jordan Poole. I think they want to get him out of there. Because yeah, whether it's Draymond's fault or whatever the whole situation was, they couldn't have them two together. Clearly, it weighed on them. I don't think it was the reason why they lost because I feel like we were just a better team, in the playoffs against the Warriors. Like it was not a good match for them because we were just bigger. But I think that, just, having somebody, punch you in the face and still be able to have to see them every day, that's like, and then you didn't do nothing. Yeah, honestly, let's just, I mean, you fail. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, and and I think Draymond probably lost a little bit, they lost a little bit of respect for Draymond, especially some of the younger players. So they was like, well, let's try to get him out of there. And plus, like I said, he didn't do as much this year either, Jordan Poole. I mean, they gave him that money last year. He didn't
Hmm.
really earn it too much this year, and they still had what 4 more years of that. So they was like, well, let's get whatever we can for him. And then Chris Paul's not a bad move just because of the fact that yeah, it's a big number, but this is his last year of his contract, so it's like 30 million just for this year. But I think what's going to happen with this trade is that they're going to start with the season with him, see how it works, see how it goes, and depending on how it works, because Chris Paul doesn't play like how Golden State plays, like as far as all the movement and
He
all
does a
that
lot of
stuff.
pick and roll. Yeah,
Yeah, he did a lot of pick and roll, a lot of just normal, methodical type point guard play, which is great because Steph doesn't really do point guard duties like that. But I think they're going to try it out for probably the first half or first, third or 2/3 of the season. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to see how it works. And if it doesn't work out, they're probably just going to trade him off because it's going to be attractive for another team. Far as getting it off their book is the last year of the contract, and he might end up getting bought out and still might go to one of the LA teams. So I think it's going to be like a trial basis for Golden State this year. They're going to try it out, see if it works. If it doesn't, they'll trade him off to for a deal to get an expiring contract. That person probably just that team probably buy him out. Then he'll probably try to go to a contender, probably another LA team. That's what I believe will happen.
yeah, I
yeah,
agree. I think it was mainly to get rid of Jordan Poole. 'Cause like I said, just couldn't work. I think it could have worked if that video would never got leaked. Once the video got leaked to him getting knocked out, it was kind of a wrap for them, man. He didn't. He lost respect for a lot of them. Nobody really took up for him. Whatever the situation is, he's feeling himself or whatever. Draymond was still in the wrong, and it was like the team was like, yeah, he was, but so what? Like you probably deserved it. So
Yeah.
that was kind of how they treated him. So it was time for him to get up out of there. And like KG said, he really wasn't producing how he was last year. Definitely not in the playoffs.
no,
I think they talking about having Chris come off the bench though. So we're gonna see how that works for them. With him coming off the bench, which he's not used to. He's never came off the bench in his
Ever.
career. And with the second unit, I just don't know how that's gonna work with them. And their main issue last year wasn't like offensive scoring; it was defense. And
right.
I mean, Chris not guarding nobody at this stage in his career, so I don't know how that's gonna work. I mean, Jordan wasn't either though, to be fair. But so I don't really know how that's gonna work for them. I don't think that makes them a contender. They kind of in the same spot they was in last year. I mean, if not worse, for real. They barely, got past the Kings. If they got to see them next year, I don't see them beating the Kings. I see the Kings getting better. We definitely will be a better team than them. So I just don't see it for them. I think that the real issue though is the Clay and the Draymond situation. Which one of y'all gonna keep? They can't keep
Yeah,
both. So Andrew Wiggins, he ain't going nowhere because he already took a $9 million pay cut,
No,
so
you
he's
know.
staying. So is Draymond want the 100, or is Clay willing to take a pay cut? I think that's the real situation they in. I think they got one more year with Clay, and I think that might be it for him. So
Hmm.
yeah. I think to me, yes, you have to get off of Jordan Poole, but I honestly see this as Draymond short
hmm
because I think Draymond is seriously going to entertain other offers, and I think he's not in the business of giving them a discount to stay. Like
right.
typically, guys that get to the stage where Draymond's at, he's leaving a situation to try to go find a situation where he can go rent a ring.
Hmm.
Draymond already got four. So yes, he probably still wants to keep winning, but to try to say that okay, I'm going to stick around at a lower number to try to win here, that's probably not a necessity for him.
Nope.
And I think at this stage for Chris Paul, coming off the bench would probably be better for him. I'm kind of interested to see how that works. I know at some point they're gonna try to trot out the lineup with him and Stephen Clay at the same time. Um, but he needs to probably be playing somewhere between like 16 and 20 minutes a game, like no more, no less. Um, and then just kind of go from there and see how it works. The ideal scenario for them is probably okay, we keep him healthy enough throughout the regular season where we can have him as a real contributor for us come the playoff time. I'm just not sure what the rest of your team is going to look like when you
Right.
paying Chris Paul his 30 million, even if it is just for this year. Plus bringing back Draymond with Clay with Steph. I don't, they were already a team that didn't have enough guys by the time that the series against the Lakers ended. Um, I don't know how you have enough guys when Chris Paul is still making 30 million, even though Jordan Poole is going to be making a little bit more than that. So
Hmm.
to me, this is a move where okay, we're bringing Chris Paul because we know we might need that playmaker around Steph and Clay if Draymond decides to go in. So
Right, for sure.
so uh, enough Warriors though. We talked enough about the team that we actually did beat in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Free agency and trade rumors. So to me, and I'll get y'all thoughts too. I don't want to go star chasing. I know that's typically the Lakers move. That's typically the Lakers MO. Um, I hear you on Kyrie, KG. I do. I hear you. Just I think we've seen time and time again with the Lakers, with the Russell Westbrook situation, even you looking like Brooklyn, uh, hell, what you might run into with Phoenix now, paying these three stars or, three guys and then a fourth guy like he is a star, it just doesn't work in terms of actually going out and being able to win
Hmm.
a championship. It's too hard to have enough guys around them. And we just saw again, even though Kyrie would be a much better fit next to LeBron and AD than Russ was, I think when you start trying to pay three stars and then keep just vet minimum guys around, uh, you start pulling out, the bottom of the barrel. And that's not, right now, at least, what's winning. We just saw Bruce Brown was like the eighth man for the Nuggets, bro. Like, and he's
Hmm.
a like legitimately like starter caliber player in the NBA. And just for them, he happened to be coming off the bench. So uh, I think we need to fill out the rest of the roster with guys that either have proven to win or have been in situations that maybe they've been held back in.
Hmm.
Uh, like ideal targets for me, and these guys don't necessarily fit guys that's been held back, but guys that are familiar with Darvin Ham, I would love to see us get either one of or both Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez.
Yep.
Yep.
Because I think both guys feel a need. Brook on those nights where Anthony Davis wants to be power forward, you can slide Brook next to him for a few minutes. You can have Chris Middleton as another guy who can go get you 20 points, at,
Hmm.
25 on a given night sometimes. Um, but I think again the familiarity with Darvin Ham and also guys who have been in the system where they've been required to play defense. Um, I think those two would be good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I like both of those, especially Brooke, because we do need a center. And I think he might be a little cheaper than Chris. I think Chris might want the bag this summer. Or he might just want to change the scenery. He might want to go somewhere, it's different. Gotta have a new coach. Might be a new system for him or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad with either one of those. I think Chris is a top level scoring guard in the league. A great third option. If that's your third option on the team, you're doing something right. So no, that'll be dope for us. I don't know if we can afford him, but
Yeah, that's the
we'll
thing.
maybe
Brook we
possibly
might be able to
sign it
get for like a mid-level exception or something like
for
that, but
sure. Yeah,
really it's gonna come down to what Chris Middleton is getting from other teams too, because I know he might
right,
be listening to
right.
other offers.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I mean, I'd be fine with that. Yeah, we definitely. I'm with you though. No real star chasing. I mean, Kyrie is dope, but I mean, I don't. The Mavericks went from what fifth to like 12th, like 11th to 12th. In
Yeah,
those whatever how
in a
many
span of
20
weeks.
games, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it's like I think that was a tough decision. I think the Mavericks put themselves in a situation where they got to pay him because you just can't let him walk. So he gonna get the max from them, and he's not gonna take a pay cut. Like if he's gonna take a pay cut, I'm cool with that. But we can't, like you said, we can't afford to pay them like that, especially with the was it the salary cap or luxury taxes. that's about to go into effect, it's gonna be hard to, pay three guys top money like that. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I definitely don't want Kyrie at all. We could find somebody better. I don't know if we can afford Fred either, because he's gonna want probably like close to 30. I don't know if we got that in us without giving up some key players. But
Hmm.
yeah, definitely some role players like you mentioned. Bruce Brown was like the seventh, eighth option with the Nuggets. So
Yeah,
was Kentavious. Like these, somebody we had on the team we won the championship with. Like they just they roster was stacked. They just they kind of caught lightning in the bottle. They got guys at the right time on some expiring deals, and it was like, yo, we gonna go for this run, and they made it happen. They got. So I don't know what they're gonna look like next year or the year after that, because eventually Porter gonna want his money. But next year though, they're gonna be tough to beat.
Yeah, I agree. I think what wins tied just overall. I think going back to when we won in 2020, I think we were just, we were deep. Like we had players at every position, similar to what Denver had this year. I mean, they had players at every position. They were big, they were long. They had, good depth. 8, 9 people deep. I think that's basically kind of how to win. Now you can still win with 3 people, with 3 stars. Like let's just say we got a Kyrie or something like that, or another player. You can win with that, but yeah, you're just filling your roster out minimum players and just hoping they could produce at the times. Like you can get, like I said, catch lightning in the bottle, and win that way. But I believe that what's good about trying to keep our team together is that we actually have real good rotational players like this past year. Like we had good rotational players. Now they might not have done great as far as in the playoffs, like Malik Beasley and Vanderbilt and Schroeder and Rui Austin. Like we had actual rotate, even D'Angelo. We had good rotational players, and so when you have good rotational players, that's attractive to other teams. Like teams weren't trading for minimum contract players; they're trading for pretty good rotational players. So
Right.
keeping the team together, having those rotational players that could be trade pieces during the season, I think that's an option as well. So I would try to bring back as many players that we can as possible. Like, of course, Rui and Austin are the top priority. Um, I believe uh, I believe Malik Beasley's like a team option. So
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to make like 16 mil. So I think we're probably, if we're going to keep him, to maybe trade him later or just keep him, maybe get a training camp in with him, he's got to take a pay cut because he didn't really do much, for the playoffs really, or even really, he didn't really do much after we got him outside of the first few games.
Hmm.
He just couldn't find his shot. I don't know what that was about. I mean, that's what you're there for, a shooter. He couldn't find his shot. Point guard definitely got to upgrade on that. The Brook Lopez Middleton, that's good. I believe we do need a center just in general. I believe that we need to move AD back to the 4. Just full time. Like I mean, unless you're closing out games where you just put AD at the 5. But I think he is just not comfortable playing the 5. Like he don't
Hmm.
want to bang. And so we probably need to find a center like a Brook Lopez, to put beside him. And even if he doesn't close games out at the 4, if he closes them out the 5, that's what we did when we won the championship. There was times when Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee weren't on the court. Even though they started and played those games. Fourth quarter, AD did move to the 5 because he didn't have to bang the whole entire game. So I think we'll have interesting moves. Like I said, the rookies we drafted. So I mean, we got some wiggle room as far as what we want to do. The important pieces again are Reeves and Rui. I think Rui will come back. I think he'll get paid. Not a big number, probably like 12, 15 million a year. I think we'll get him that. But Austin Reeves going to be the wild card, so we'll see what happens with him.
yeah. Um, as we were sitting here, actually, I think Rui that we just extended him the qualifying offer, which is like 7.7 million, I believe.
Yeah,
Um, so the hope would be that the
he
sometimes
take
the
it.
market runs dry for him, and he can just take the 7.7, and we don't have to worry about going into 8 figures at that point. But
Yeah.
I think the y'all made a good point about Reeves earlier. Um, it's tough for me with Austin Reeves because in one hand, he really was our third best player most of the playoffs, if not all of the playoffs.
Hmm.
Um, but to think about what that contract could look like if paying him now goes wrong.
Yes.
Um, Granted, anybody can be traded. I mean, we've seen Russell Westbrook and John Wall get traded in the last few years with bad contracts. So anybody can get traded. Um, that's a tough pill to swallow if you can't get that right now. Again, we haven't seen anything from Austin to indicate that he's just going to fall off a cliff, but we've also seen guys like Duncan Robinson who couldn't miss a three the entire bubble basically, and then was unplayable for 2 years until the playoffs this year when Tyler Hero got hurt. So it all comes in waves for a lot of these guys, and I know people probably gonna give me some shit because I was comparing two white dudes, but all good. Y'all do that to us all the time. So I think definitely want to keep Reeves. I definitely want to keep Rui. There's some numbers where that gets a little bit iffy for me. I think the move for us, if we gonna go get like a Fred Van Fleet or somebody like that, we probably need to sign and trade Russell to be able to
Yeah.
pull that off.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's possible for us to include D'Angelo and Malik Beasley in that trade, but depending on what the number is for Fred that he wants and what he can go command from somebody else, that might be the best way for us to pull that off. Um, I like the idea of Fred Van Fleet on offense. I don't know how much I like that on defense for the Lakers.
Mhm.
But I mean, we were already having to try to scheme and hide D'Angelo Russell. I don't think Fred Van Fleet is any worse a defender than D'Angelo
No.
was.
No.
No.
And I feel like he'll be more consistent being on a team where he's like the third option, or depending on how Austin Reeves is playing, some nights the fourth option. Whereas Toronto, he was at worst the second best offensive guy on a given night. So um, wouldn't be mad at Fred Van Fleet. The point guard thing is just weird though because it's like I would really love for LeBron to be able to look around and say, okay, I got enough to be able to take a step back. I just don't know what enough is in his eyes. Is that going and getting another star like a Kyrie, or is that being able to just get the pieces around the edges that's going to improve the floor of the team, right? So
Right.
no telling with LeBron, man. See it that way, but uh, we'll see. It's a lot of question marks right now. I think the West is pretty much outside of Denver, wide open, just the same way that it was this
Hmm.
past season.
Mhm.
Um, and if we're looking at the playoffs, I mean they swept us, but they won. It was a total margin of victory the whole series by 24 points. Like
Mhm.
a few bounces the wrong way or bounces the opposite way that could look like a totally different series after 4 games. So we played them tough, but we can't just look back and be like, okay, well we were a Kyrie or a is it any other star? I see James Harden going to the Lakers. I'm hoping.
Bro.
uh,
Know where
we're not
James going?
star away. Yeah, James is trying to go back to the motherland, aka Houston.
Exactly. Exactly.
He's trying to go back to his nights in the strip club and the
Hmm.
clubs in general, late
Yeah.
night flying little baby and the rest of the celebrities in.
Philly didn't do it for
Exactly.
him.
No,
Nah, it wasn't hot
no,
enough for him, man. Yeah, he trying. He got the spot down here, so he got his own restaurant slash club, and then it's Houston, so his ladies is down here, so he James trying to be out here in these streets. Him and Ime, he's trying to be out here living that life.
yeah.
Well,
Hey, I don't think the Rockets don't need that energy. I don't think they need
Nah,
that
they don't.
around the team
Yeah.
for sure,
I
for
love it.
sure. Uh, Oh yeah, now that I think about it, I think the Rockets probably they look. We happy with our draft picks. They probably
Yeah,
told
for
Ime
sure.
leading the press conference like, "Look, excited to provide some tutelage to these young guys. Just gonna, we're ready to get to work. We don't need no big name free agents. Just come out and speak out against it, Ime. That might be your best move because if you and James
Yeah.
Harden roam the streets together, it could be bad for everybody involved.
Yeah. Facts.
It could be bad. So, um, I guess before we go, if y'all had to give one ideal move for the Lakers this offseason, whether it's bringing back somebody that we had or going and getting another free agent, what would that move be?
Go ahead, John.
I was thinking. For me, it's just don't mess it up. Like I mean, whoever y'all bring in, just make sure that's it's a smart decision. We've had off seasons in the past where we were out reaching, going out getting cats who Russ, like even when they made the trade, I don't know nobody who was like, yeah, this is gonna work. Yeah, this the move right here. It was
No,
I don't
nobody.
understand it. We crawled ourselves or pulled ourselves out of that situation. Just don't put us in another one like that where you just out here getting somebody that's not a fit on the court. Team chemistry wise, we got something good that was going. Seemed like everybody enjoyed playing with one another. We just gotta, like I said, get a big. Like I said, if you want to move AD back to the four, I think that'd be good. Um, and then like I said, I mean, you don't have to be a star point guard, but a reliable starting point guard who can take some pressure off, who can hit some open shots. Because that's another thing is just spotty shooting. I think that's our main issue.
Yeah,
It just wasn't
that killed
consistent.
us. That killed us against Denver too, for sure.
Yeah, Cass was open. They just wasn't hitting the shots, and that was
Mm.
the
Yeah,
thing. And disappearing. Like I mentioned earlier, we had like three or four cats who was known for being shooters, and they just didn't show up. D'Angelo had the one game with Memphis, but after that, like you said, he didn't score at all in the Denver series, and like I said, he wasn't a good defender. Somebody who's a willing defender. Steph ain't the best defender, but Steph would get out there. He'd try. We had cats out there who wasn't even really trying to do anything. So we could get somebody that could give us 15, 15 and 5. Upwards of 40% shooting from the three. I think that'd be a great piece, that we can another building block. Because like you said, outside of Denver, I mean, we really don't have no competition. If we keep this team that we got, I mean, we should be a top two team in the West.
Yeah, I agree. I think shoring up the point guard position is always good. And just looking at the landscape, like James was saying, there is not really too much competition. Now, I will say that the Suns might start off on the road. I mean, that's just a lot of offense. Like
Yeah.
I think they're going to start off pretty good this season. I don't know if they're going to win, but I think just with those three players, I think they'll be good. But I think, just keeping kind of what we got, like just kind of keeping what we got, getting a training camp in, see how things made now. We can now the center position, yeah, of course. I think going after Brook Lopez with the mid level, that'll be cool. That'll help out. I think that'll help out AD a lot. But like I said, and then getting a shooter like a Bogdan, like I wish we would have got him at the trade deadline. From Detroit. But I just don't. We don't have that like shooter that's just like he's open, he's hitting it
Right.
like a Bogdan, like a Luke Kennard, like like before he got hurt in the Memphis series, like he was hitting everything.
Yeah.
Like it didn't, you know what I mean? Like a shooter like that, like what Kyle Korver used to be, JJ Redick, like where you just out there and you have to respect his shot in Denver, the Denver series, like we didn't have anybody to be like, yeah, Austin hit some threes, Rui hit some threes, Bron didn't hit a three for like a couple games.
yeah.
Of course, D'Angelo didn't hit anything. AD, he used to be able to shoot threes okay, but I don't know what happened to AD with the three
Mm-hmm.
point shot. But we just don't have a reliable 3-point threat. So I would think that if we can get a good shooter and a big to go alongside AD, and then kind of keep the players that we got. I think that we have a chance to make a run. Um, get in there again. I mean, I believe that, like you said, we only lost by 24 points through the whole series. They was able to close out the game, so that's kind of what we need to aim at. And just see where the training camp comes out of, and if things don't look right, I mean, we always got a trade deadline. We got players to trade, so we'll see what happens.
Sure. It's gonna be an interesting offseason for sure, man. For sure. Hopefully LeBron don't retire. But
Man ain't going
uh,
Yeah,
nowhere.
no, we're gonna be
yeah, I
leaving
look, I
million on
actually
the
like
table.
at first I almost got wrapped up in it because I saw the press conference live and then I started thinking about it. I'm like, if it's one dude who wants his proper like farewell tour, it's LeBron.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Brian,
Like,
LeBron ain't going out here and just fading off into the sunset unexpectedly. Nah,
Nah,
give him my respect. I want my party
nah.
gifts at every away arena,
Yeah,
all that shit. Bring it
exactly.
on. I want
Pull a
all that
Paul
attention,
Pierce. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want it.
You thought you was Kobe? I don't love you like that.
Yeah, I think LeBron, and even with that, like I don't think he's gonna retire because I don't believe just a competitor. I don't think he wants to go out like that.
no.
You know what
Nah,
I'm saying? Like in the end, you playing for the Lakers, most historic franchise in sports. Went out with his sweep. Like you can't go out. You can't go out like that. Like you can't go out. You got to make another push. And I think these next 2 years might be it though. Like I think these next
I think
two
Oh,
so.
I don't think
probably.
it's a might too, and I think
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
so.
I
for
think this
sure.
it. I think this it.
Yeah.
And so he got this the first year of his extension. Next year be his player option for next year. That'll be Bronny's first year, whether he's on the court, whether he's playing against him or with him. This will be his last 2 years. So I think that he's going to try to go all out, get that foot right as best as possible, get in shape, let the foot heal, and we're gonna go after number 18, man. I think we got a chance in these next 2 years to get one. I believe we do. We can get one, maybe
He can
not two.
opt out after next season, right?
He can opt out. Well, he can actually opt out after this season coming up. After because
Okay.
he has a player option for 24, 25.
Right.
But that's a
I
lot
think
of
this
money.
might. I think this might be the last season with us, man. Because I don't see us drafting Bronny. So I think,
Nah.
Yeah, it's gonna
yeah,
be. I guess it's gonna kind of depend on what Bronny does at USC. But I mean,
nothing.
if he has a
That's
halfway
it.
decent season,
They had the
if he has
box.
a halfway decent season, I think they gonna talk him into the lottery in some way, shape, or form. And
Yeah.
to James' point, we're not gonna have a lottery pick. So
Nah.
Nah,
regardless of if we are a bad team or not, that pick going to the Pelicans. So
Yeah.
facts.
uh, you know, I ain't gonna lie. If next season, regardless of what happened, if next season happened to be Bron's last season with the Lakers, he don't owe us shit. He don't owe us a
Nah,
damn thing, man. He got us a ring. He made us relevant after we had been trashed for a few years. Hey, salute to you, man.
Yeah,
Salute
for
to you.
sure.
Ain't no hard feelings at all. I mean, regardless of when Bron hang it up, I imagine even if it ain't with the Lakers or whoever. Uh, Again, he owes us nothing. Man. He gave us years that he didn't have to give us. So for that, we appreciate it for sure.
for sure, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
is what it is.
if Bronny end up a lottery pick coming off the bench, bro, that's gonna be crazy. Cause he's not starting at USC, so I don't see him. I don't see it. They got Boogie and they got Collier, number 1 player in the country. That's the backcourt. So where he playing at? So
I think I'm
it's gonna be
telling you,
hard for him.
they're gonna do 3 guards, man. I'm telling
Stop
you,
it, bro. Stop it, G.
bruh. We're gonna watch again and be like Bronny James
Okay.
starting third guard.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I agree though. It's
College
gonna be
lineups run small sometimes, but I had to see that one. I had to see that one, for sure.
yeah.
6'3", 6'2", small forward.
Hey, on that note, man. On that note, this has been the Manager Special, the return of the Manager Special. James Williams, Keith Gardner. Appreciate y'all, brothers.
Thanks for having
As
us.
always, man, we got to keep this going at least once a year, if not a couple times during the regular season next year, especially if your man's is talking that retirement talk, KG.
no, no
But
doubt.
till next time, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Price Check Podcast here on the In the Zone Network. Check it out.
All right, peace.
Peace.